Click. Okay, we are getting ready to go over some of the processes for handling pictures when you have multiple exposures of the Milky Way. And even though our outing was somewhat dampened by clouds that got in the way, we're going to go through the process anyway, and hopefully you'll see that it cleans up the images a little bit, and we'll see how it goes. So, okay, a little background. When I got there, everybody was setting up their cameras and trying to focus, and you get an appreciation of how you need to know and understand your camera, because a lot of folks were going into their menus and looking for things that they hadn't seen in a long time or didn't realize were there. So there was a lot of in the dark learning going on, which is something that is best to take care of when you got plenty of light around you and learn what you're going to need to do. And the other thing is, excuse me, we talked about the technique of multiple pictures and then blending them together in a software program. And I am a Windows guy, so I use Sequator, and the Apple folks use Starry Landscape Stacker, which is an Apple version of the program. I understand it's about 39 or 40 bucks, something like that. I don't know. But Sequator for the Windows version is free. So I am going to go in here and I am going to show you using the share screen here. I am going to, you guys should be seeing in essence my my file structure here, and I'm going to show you what I'm doing and why. So I saved my pictures in a file over here, and none of this is really important to you, but I saved the pictures from last night in a file with the date 2023-05-14, and I created a folder underneath that called TIFF extracts. Okay, and so these are the pictures that I took at the event last night. And so what I'm going to do is I'm now going to look at all of these pictures, okay, in Lightroom. So, and you'll have to excuse me because I'm going to stop sharing this one and go share another one. So I'll be bouncing it back and forth a little bit. But right now I'm going to go to Lightroom. So this is the Lightroom program. For those of you not familiar, that's the one that's run by Adobe. And let's see, I'm going to just have one person up here. So even though because of the way that the Lightroom database works, I've got a whole bunch of pictures in this one folder of all different things that have happened. But the last 27 pictures are the ones that I took last night. There's actually 29 pictures. So I have 9 pictures that I took. Then we reconfigured our cameras and took pictures of the rocket, the streak shot, which was right in the middle of our session. And then I went back and reset my camera to my settings for Milky Way, and I took 9 more. And in the process of doing that, I also took 9 shots that were with the lens cap on. So you may recall that I said you needed to have these black shots. And the reason is because the black shots capture any flaws in your sensor, hot pixels, commonly called hot pixels, and it will subtract them out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this twice. I'm going to do this the first time with, pardon me for just a second while I jump off the Zoom for a second. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these first 9 pictures, and you can see them on the screen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And I just arbitrarily picked the middle one because I know that Sequitur is going to pick the middle one. So there's the middle one. So I'm going to pick the middle picture, okay? And I'm going to go into the develop module. If you look up here on the right, I choose develop, okay? And it's going to be took. And everybody can see the clouds and everything. I don't know what that is. The clouds and everything that are basically interrupting what would be the Milky Way shot. Down along the horizon, just above the trees, you see this brightness, and that is the cultural brightness from Kennedy Space Center, from Melbourne, from Port Canaveral, all those areas where there's activity going and there's a lot of lights on. That's what you're going to see, is you're going to see the cultural lighting in that area. We're looking here, my camera was facing almost not quite straight south, probably about 150 degrees if you're for all you navigators out there. So, and part of that was in the lower right were those guys in the boats. And so I wanted to make sure that the guys in the boats with the bright white lights were just outside my field of view. So I set my camera up so that I was not catching those guys in the boats. So here's the picture I have. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to doctor this picture using the develop module here in Lightroom, and then I'm going to save it. And then what I'm going to do is copy those settings and apply the exact same settings to all 9 pictures. So rather than do each one separately, I do one, and then I copy the settings, and that way the settings are all the same. So I'm going to do that here right now. So I'm going to go up here to basic, and I want things to be a little bit more black. So I'm going to increase my blacks a little bit, and maybe even just a little bit more. So you can see I'm taking away some of the blue tint in the sky. And if you notice down here amongst the trees, you get this blue. And what that's saying is I have taken out so much of the information that is below 0. So that is pure black. And that's fine. So I'm ignoring that because I'm going to take care of that later. So I'm going to do the same thing with the shadows. If you see on here on the right, I'm going to click and hold and bring the shadows down. And so what I'm doing is I'm giving this a little bit darker in the skies. And you could bring the whites up, but what would happen if I did that is the clouds would get brighter. So I don't want to do that. So I'm going to bring the whites down a little bit, okay, to try and get rid of some of the clouds. And the other feature that's in Lightroom is this feature here called dehaze. So I'm going to grab that, and then I'm going to drag the dehaze to the right. It has a little bit of a secondary effect of darkening the picture. Okay, so you can see the picture got a little bit darker, but it also cleared up some of the area that was just straight haze. I'm going to increase the clarity just a bit. And now I'm going to take and play with my contrast slider to see if I can make it a little bit better. So I'm increasing the contrast, and you can see that's just not working well. So I'm going to actually decrease it just slightly. And then I'm going to take my exposure up just a little bit. Okay. And maybe I'll bring that contrast back a little bit more. So this is all done to your particular taste. What are you seeing? What do you like? How do you think the picture looks? And so you can do this just to your own particular taste, so you can see what you're going to be looking at. So I'm bringing the highlights down, and that dims some of this cultural lighting and some of the stuff in the lower right-hand corner. But when I do that, I want to bring the exposure up just a tad. So basically what I'm changing is the ratio of the exposure to the highlights when I do those two things that seem to be counter to each other. So we've got that. Now you remember that we shot this, okay, at 5,000. If you look up here, we shot that at 5,000 ISO. So there's a little noise in here yet. So I'm going to go down here, slide down to my detail tab, okay, and then I'm going to zoom in the area of where we might expect the Milky Way to be. And you can see, I'm not sure how zoom does this, but you can see it's got a significant amount of noise in there, right? So There's a new feature in Lightroom called denoise. It's an artificial intelligence thing, and it goes through and it's supposed to do a great job. But what I found is when you hit denoise, go have lunch because it takes like 42 minutes to do it. Well, we're not going to do that. So we're going to use the manual mechanism of taking the noise out here. So manual noise reduction. So I want to take out some of the noise that's caused by luminance. So I'm going to move that pretty substantially to the right. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay. I just got a little nag box there that says, hey, I may not be hearing you. Okay. So you notice how it's cleaner now. Okay. So I'm going to, down here under color, I'm going to bring that up just a little bit. It's kind of a default. So I am denoising the image looks like. Okay. So when I zoom back out again, you can see that it's gotten cleaner. Okay. So I'm pretty happy with that. Okay. Other than the fact there's clouds. We're not talking about what's in the picture. We're talking about quality of the picture. So now I go back up to library here, and it's going to take me back to my 9 pictures. Okay. But you'll notice the middle one, number 5, has been changed with all those changes I just made. So as I mentioned earlier, I want the exact same changes to all 9 of these pictures. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to go up here to where it says develop settings. And I'm going to slide over, and it's going to say copy settings. So what I'm doing is the picture that I just tinkered with, I am going to take and I am going to copy all those settings. And it lets you cherry pick if you want to just copy certain things. But you can see that there's already a check mark in the areas where I did all the work. So that's all. I want to copy all of them. So I just hit copy. Okay. So now I go to the other 8 pictures of this group of 9, and I'm going to highlight them. And you do that, of course, by holding down your control key and clicking on it. I could also click the first one and the last one with the shift key. But anyway, these are the 4 that I want to now copy these settings to. So once they're all highlighted, I right click on any one of them, and I go down to the same menu item, develop settings, and I go over here and I hit paste settings. Remember, we copied them, right? So it copied them into like a clipboard, okay? And I hit paste settings, and you'll see what happens. All 9 of them will now have the same editing property. What the heck happened there? Same editing. Oh, I know what I did. I hit that and I didn't want to. And I did it again. Hang on. Pay no attention to the guy behind the mouse. Okay, so I got all 9 of these now have the exact same editing settings that I did to that first one. And that's why I take the time to try and make that as good as I can make it. Now, I'm not entirely sure if this is necessary, but I also do the exact same thing to the dark pictures where I put the lens cap on. Probably makes no difference. I don't know, but I'm not going to worry about it. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So there's those same 9 pictures that are the black with the lens cap on. So I do the same thing, develop settings. I go over and I go paste settings. And so you're not going to see any difference, but it may affect. So I now have 18 binary look-see. I made them as good as I could. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight all 18 of those. Excuse me. And I'm going to go up here in the upper left, okay? And I'm going to hit File, Export. And this is what Sherry got all excited about the other day at the dinner table. She said, "Export! Rah, I'm just going to have you do this." Well, exporting from Lightroom is not that difficult. So export location, I want to export to a specific folder. And so the specific folder I want to export to, I'm going to choose it. And sure enough, it's going to be the folder that I have the pictures in. There's the folder I have the pictures in, right? And remember I said I created a subfolder called TIFF extracts. So that's where I want to put it, in TIFF extracts. Now this will make your own folder. I just like to do it manually because I just think I got more control. I don't know why, but anyway. Now you have the option here of creating a subfolder, having it do it for you. File naming, I leave it the same file names, okay? Image sizing, I do not want to change the image size. I'm not sure if it's going to do that or not. It may be that it just can't do these because these are pretty good size images. Well, I mean, we'll see when we get there. File settings. Under file settings, I want it to be TIFF, T-I-F-F, okay? No compression, 16 bits. So most of these are the defaults, but those are what you want to see. And image sizing, again, I'm not going to resize them. I'm going to have them go out however they're exported from Lightroom. I'm not going to do any sharpening. Metadata, copyright only, that's fine. I'm not going to do any watermarking. I'm not going to do any post-processing. There's all kinds of things you can do in Lightroom to your pictures as you export them. And I've only done the things that I wanted. I basically wanted to export the pictures in a TIFF file format. And it's going to take just those 18 that I've selected, right? So I hit export. See, just throw it out there in case anybody has any questions so far.
Yes. Yes. What is the difference? May I? Same setting for all the picture. What I do in development, I use synchronize. Is it the same that what you are doing?
You're breaking up a little bit because my computer is using a lot of its horsepower to do this export. But I think you're asking of the synchronizing of the pictures. That's what the next program is going to do. The next program is called Program is going to do. It will do that automatically. And that's the whole point, is it will align those pictures, specifically those first 9 pictures. It will align them so all the stars overlap the stars and they all get aligned. And the problem is, in the process of aligning them, it winds up determining what is noise and what is image, and it takes some of the noise out. So that's part of the reason we do this whole take 9 pictures and run it through Sequitur or Starry Landscape, the Starry Landscape version for the Apple folks.
Thank you.
So this is cranking away here. And you can see that the dimensions on my pictures were 6720 by 4480. So they're pretty hefty size pictures. That's a 30 megabit picture, 30 megapixel picture. And in the upper left, you can see the little bar that's going across for a little over halfway. And what I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do this. I'm thinking I might want to close Lightroom after I do this because it's just chewing up memory. And with the overhead of the Zoom program, I'm probably maxed out my memory right now. Can everybody hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Who else is in there? Jake, Bev. Okay.
You have to do it. Said you have to do it.
Yes.
Okay, the bar is just about finishing. All right, so the bar is finished. That means that those 18 files have been exported as a TIFF file into that folder that I had, right? Now, just I'm gonna skip ahead here because I want to close Lightroom. So I'm going to skip ahead here, and there's two files that I am going to use later in Photoshop, and I'm going to open those files. Let me think about this a minute. No, I'm not going to open them. I'm not going to open them. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing, and just so you guys know what's going on, after I stop sharing, I am going to close my Lightroom just because I want to get rid of the memory overhead. So while you're paying attention to that guy on the screen, I'm actually going to close my Lightroom because it's just chewing up memory. And it's asking me if I want to do a backup, and I do not want to do a backup, but it won't let me get there. I don't know, how come it won't let me get there? See if I can do this. It's got a pop-up, and the pop-up is not behaving itself. So skip this time. There we go. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to run Sequitur. Okay. So let me share my screen. I'm going to go back to my Explorer here so I know. Photography. I'm going to take this shortcut. So here I am. These are all the programs that I have in my photography bag of tricks. And the one that I'm interested in is down here. It's called Sequitur EXE. Okay, so I'm going to double click on that, and it'll run the Sequitur program. Again, I'm gonna do that, and the Sequitur program is going to come up, but I have to do a stop share and then reshare, and now I'm going to go and find it. Show windows. Don't want that one. Want this one. Now I go share. Okay. So everybody should see this more or less gray screen, right? Does everybody see that?
Yes.
Okay. Now, this is a really simple program because on the left, at the upper left here, we're going to start a new project, and I want my star images. So I double click on that, and it's going to take me to my Explorer thing, and I am going to go to the folder where I put them, and everybody remembers I put them under May 2023, today's date, and then I remember I created a folder and saved them under TIFF extracts, right? So I should be able to go to TIFF extracts. Don't tell me it didn't extract. Oh, there they are. That's not right. Hang on. Well, rats. All that extracting I did when we watched the little bar, put those 18 files somewhere, and I don't know where they went. They were supposed to go right here. but they're not there. Don't you love it when the whole program comes together? Okay, it looks to me like it put them into a different folder. And here's the folder it put it into right there. Don't know why it did. So if everybody just kind of hangs on for a second, I'm going to go fix that offline so that it'll all make sense. And I am going to put it in the correct folder. Okay. Okay, picking up where we left off, I want to find my star images, okay? So I'm going to go to the folder that we talked about before, and sure enough, there they all are. And I just want I don't want the black ones, right? I just want the star images. So I do I click the first one, shift click the last one, they're all selected, and I hit open. And if you look up here on the left, you can see there they all are. Okay, they're listed under star images. And it picks, you may remember I said, 9, 11, always pick an odd number because it picks a base image that it's going to blend all the others to. So the base image it picks is 41. Look at that, Shazam, right in the middle. So it always picks the middle file, okay? Down here under noise images, same thing. I'm going to double click that. It's going to take me to the same folder where I put all the noise images. I'm going to select those 9, and they're going to go in right there, noise images, 9 files, okay? Then I want to select output. It's going to ask me, what do I want to call it? And I'm going to use the same folder because there's no reason not to. And I'm going to call this my sequitur output. Okay. See down here, it's going to come out as a TIFF file, and it's going to be called sequitur output. And it's going to go into that same folder where I have stored all these. Everybody following along?
Yes, we are.
Okay.
Got it.
All right. Down here on the left, on the bottom of the left, composition align stars. We want that. So that's the default. We want the full area. Auto brightness, you leave it off. High dynamic range, leave it off. Remove dynamic noises, leave it off. Reduce distortion effects, leave it off. Reduce light pollution, we can double click on that and these are options you can choose, and maybe we'll try a couple more. But it's uneven, and we'll slide it over a little bit and see how that is. Okay. Enhanced starlight, we're going to leave that off. This one here, merge 4 pixels. I like that on. What that means is if you look in your picture, you have billions of stars that are only 1 pixel or 2 pixels in size. Well, all that does is clutter your image. And so what this does by selecting that on is it'll only take stars that are a minimum of 4 pixels and present them. Anything that's 3 pixels or less, it just disregards them and it just eliminates them, treats them as noise. And so that helps clean up your image. Now remember, these clouds are just ruining it, but that's another thing. Time lapse is off, color space is off. Let's see. Full area, auto brightness, high dynamic range, remove dynamic noises. Remove dynamic noise. if you had an airplane going through there, it would recognize that there's an airplane going through there and it would take it out. Okay. Reduce distortion effects. I don't even know what that does. So we'll just leave it off. So we've chosen these options. We've named an output TIFF. We've got the star images and we've got the noise images. And now we just hit start. And you'll see this little box will pop up and it'll just go through and it's now grinding away, making that happen. And this is a remarkably fast process. It'll be done in less than a minute. "58 seconds." Okay. And then you hit close. Okay. So you're just closing this little box here and it'll show you what that merged image looks like. And you can see that unless a star is 4 pixels, it's not even going to show. But you can see the clarity is much better than it was. Does everybody see that? It's a lot clearer than it was. And you've already saved it because you selected the output file up here before you even hit the start button. So there it is. Okay. And remember when I said disregard all this stuff down here? We're going to disregard all that stuff because we're going to fix that in Photoshop. So that's the meat and potatoes of how you do that. And if we had taken 9 exposures and actually seen the Milky Way, and we're actually seeing part of the Milky Way here, but you can't pick it out because of all the trash in the way. So I am now going to close Sequitur, okay, because it's already saved my file. I'm going to close, and it's going to ask me, do we want to save the current project? No, because it's already saved it. And so now what I want to do, I'm going to share screen. I'm going to go to Photoshop, and I'm going to open Photoshop, okay? So now, can everybody see my Photoshop? Good.
Got it.
This whole Zoom thing is pretty neat, isn't it? So I'm going to go open. I'm going to go to that same folder. And I'm going to find the one that says output TIFF. Here it is right here, right? And it looks like Sequitur reduced its size. See where it says 3360? So it reduced the size of it. And I don't know if that's a function of Sequitur or what, but anyway, reduce the size. Open. So now there it is in Photoshop. And now it's ready to do whatever you want to do in Photoshop. So what I'm going to do, just to give you guys an idea here, a couple things. I'm going to bring in and layer, and this is more or less a lesson in Photoshop, but I'm going to bring in 2 or 3 layers that I want to layer, like the streak shot and whatnot, over the top of this to see how it would look, right? So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to go File, Open. And now I'm going to go to I'm not going to go to the TIFF's output file. I'm going to the original files, right? Because I want that file, which is the streak shot, and I want the one right after it, which is 56, which I don't know if you guys remember, but I stopped cranked my f-stop down to f.8, and then I restarted it to try and catch the second stage. Well, that's it right there. But let's see how that turns out. So I want those two right there. And then I want to take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I want to take just randomly any one of these pictures, okay, that we didn't put through or that have already been through Sequitur. Because I'm going to use that. Remember how I talked about how I was going to clean up the shrubbery and whatnot? So we're going to do that. I'm going to open these, and they're going to open as 3 different images here. And I want to open them as is, because they're all going to yak at me about. This is what happens when you open a raw file, camera raw file, in Photoshop. It allows you to tinker with it before it even opens it. So this is going to open up here. There's the streak shot. Everybody remembers that, right? Okay. I don't know why the others didn't open, but we're going to go back and get them. I am going to go back and get those files that didn't open for whatever reason. I don't know why. I don't care why, but I'm just going to go back and get them.
It's not the same. It's the same. It's the same.
Now these are, they don't look very good right now because we haven't even started messing with them yet, but remember when I said Sequitur seems to have shrunk the files? Okay. Problem is we're not going to get a good overlay unless they're all the same size, right? So here's the Sequitur. Let's look at the file size, the image size, 3360 wide. Okay. So I'm going to go to all the others and I'm going to make them the same width, 3360. That way, we're all working on the same size image, right? And I'll be honest with you, I don't know why it did that. I might have a setting that's goofy or something. I will have, I'll have to tinker around with that at some point. Okay. So here's what we're eventually going to put all this onto. So this is going to be our base layer. So I'm not even going to worry about that right now. Right now, I'm concerned about the streak shot, and I'm concerned about this second shot where you see the second stage here. See the second stage? So what I want to do is blend this one and the other one together so it's only one image. So what I'm going to do is take this image and I'm going to copy it, hitting Control C, and then I'm going to go over here to this image. I'm going to paste it, Control V. And so now, whichever one's on top here is going to show me what it sees. So if I change the order, I see that one first. I change the order again, I see that one first. And that's just a function of Photoshop, and everybody should be, if you're a Photoshop person, you should be very well aware of that. Now this, what I'm going to show you right now, is a technique, okay? And a technique is a way of doing something. There's probably other ways to do it, but I've never found anything as elegant. So I am going to put a mask on this layer, and you can see this is just the layer that has to do with the second stage, right? I'm gonna put a mask on there. And if you see on the right, you see this little white thing next to it. That means that everything in this picture you see. Now, if I want to, I go over here and I select on the left my paintbrush, okay? There's the size. I've got either black or white. So if I select black, okay, I can do this. And what it does is it gets rid of whatever I just clicked and painted. And so you look there, you see that little black streak there. That's saying that this particular layer mask is masking what is in black, okay? So that's just as an example. So now what I want to do is zoom way in, because of this entire picture, the only thing I'm really interested in is that part right there, okay? That little teeny part that is the second stage. So I'm going to make sure that my flow is up and my opacity is up. I am going to, the hardness is good enough. Okay, so now I'm going to zoom in as tight as I can get. I'm going to make this as small as I can make it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to blacken out what I want to keep. What? How many know what I'm doing? Have figured this out yet? This technique. I'm blacking out what I want to keep, right? Why would I do that? So I've blacked out what I want to keep, right? So now I go back to this mask over here on the right. It's all white, except it's got a very small black streak down there, which is telling it not to show that. So if I hit the invert command, boom, I now have nothing except what I just blacked out. Okay? Everybody follow what I did? By blacking it out, okay, we'll go back. By blacking it out, what I'm doing is I know in my own mind that I'm going to use what I've blacked out. But it's really, really hard to try and find that and bring it in with everything else shut off. So I reverse it. It's inverted. So now I go back here and I hit inverse. And so now what I have is that's just what I want. And I bring up the visibility on the streak. And sure enough, there's your streak. Okay. And the streak adds the second stage. So I now have the main streak plus the second stage. And the second stage is this layer's on top. And with the, with this masking layer, it's only letting me see that part of the second stage image, which is the rocket itself. So that's how that happened. Okay.
That's nice.
Did I lose anybody?
That's nice.
That's a cool technique. I've used that a lot.
It's a cool technique, but
Gotcha.
yes, kind
So it allows you to use just that very small bit, and then you invert it, and there it is. So anyway, now I'm going to go back over here to the right, and I'm going to take both of these layers, highlight them both using the click and alternate click. So I got them together, right? So now I'm going to right click and I'm going to say merge layers because all I want is one, to be honest with you, right? So I want one layer. So this one layer is the streak shot. Now I'm going to go ahead and highlight. Now remember, we changed the size of this to match the output of the sequitur, right? So it's the same size. And because the camera didn't move, it's in the same place, it's in the right place. Everything should be holy, right? Okay, so I'm going to select the entire thing, and I'm going to hit copy with Control C. Then I'm going to go back over here, and I'm going to hit Control V for paste. Okay? So once again, whichever one's on top is the one you're going to see. But I want them together, right? So I put the streak on top, and over here on the right, okay, I'm going to make sure that that particular layer is highlighted, and I'm going to go up here to blend mode. Blend mode is normal. That means everything is blended in, okay? But if you hit the little down arrow there, you see you got a whole bunch of different options. So if I hit lighten, for example, I have the streak shot over the top of the sequitur output. I can hit screen if I want it to be a little bit brighter. And there's all kinds of goofy things here that I almost never use. There's color dodge, linear dodge, color change, overlay, soft light. Soft light wasn't too bad. Hard light. So, I mean, there's all kinds of stuff, right? And if you're trying to put something that's lighter on, that's darker on a lighter image, you can go to darken, and it'll just take that area that's darker and put it on top. So whatever works, whatever one you like. I am going to hit screen, because if you notice on the image, when I hit lighten, that one cloud right there is slightly brighter than the streak, but I want the streak, so I'm going to use screen. And the price I pay is it's got a little bit more clutter on the bottom, but it doesn't matter. It takes it away. So I'm going to use screen. So there's my blend mode. So now I have the streak going up, and you can see how it looks. Okay. Did I leave it? Did I lose anybody? Okay, blend mode with layers on Photoshop is an enormously powerful program, enormously powerful tool. Okay. All right. So that's the one we just copied. That's the one that's there. So we've already blended these layers. So this one here, I don't need anymore. So I'm just going to close it. Do I want to save it? No. This one here, I've already moved it over. I'm probably not going to use it again. So I'll just close it. Okay. Do I want to change it? No. All right. So what does that leave? Well, that leaves this. Well, what the heck is that? This shows me when I took the Milky Way image, all the shrubbery and the bush and everything down here in the foreground, right? So what I'm going to do is, again, a little bit of Photoshop trickery. I'm going to go up here and I'm going to go layer. Sometimes it takes me a while to find these things. Select. I'm going to use select. And I'm going to select the sky. Okay. And it'll churn for a second here, and it'll say, oh, there's the sky. All right. So it's got all the sky here. Everybody see that? But I really don't care about the sky. So I'm going to hold my control and my shift key, and then I'm going to hit the letter I. So control I is inverse, control shift I does the same thing. So now what I have selected is just all the ground stuff. Okay, see that? Everybody see that? So there's a lot of stuff that goes on in Photoshop that is really cool. And it's just, it takes a bunch to get rid of it, to get used to it. So now all I want to do is copy the bushes. So I'm going to hit Control C to copy and then Control V to paste. And if you look on the right over here, you can see I've got another layer, which is just what I've pasted. So if I get rid of or stop looking at all of it, what you see is just what's down there, right? Okay. So I really don't need this layer anymore, but I'm just gonna turn it off. So I'm gonna just be working with this layer, which is right up here. Now, this here, I'm interested in changing the colors of this to make it look better. I'm going to do a quick little thing here. I have no idea. I'm using the clone tool. I have no idea what those green lights are. I just don't want them, so I'm going to get rid of them. Boom, there they go. Okay. So with this layer highlighted, I'm going to go up here to, on the upper left here, image. Then I'm going to go to adjustments. And under adjustments, I'm going to come down here to channel mixer. Click channel mixer. Now I want this stuff to be more or less green. So I'll put channel red. I'm going to take some of that red out. Okay. Get rid of some of the red. Okay. Now I'm going to go to the green channel and I'm going to slide it back and forth till I get the green that I want. And then I'm going to go to the blue channel and I'm going to get rid of the blue. And it's not working very well, is it? Let's cancel that. Let's go up here to image adjustments, brightness. Take the brightness up. That actually didn't do a very good job when I selected that, did it? Okay, let's just do this again. I'm gonna get rid of this layer. Delete layer. Okay. And I'm gonna go and do this again. Only I'm going to take and I'm going to bring the brightness up earlier. So I get all that. Okay. So you're just seeing inside baseball here. There's, you can do this or not do this, however, whatever you prefer. And I'm going to use the clone brush here, get rid of those blue lights or green lights over here. And I'm going to take this and I'm going to just enhance the shrubbery a little bit. Because I have a feeling that the fact that that shrubbery had a bad contrast to it is what's causing the problem. So you can see that this is, is this cheating? Yeah, maybe. Okay. Now let's go back up here and let's go select sky. And I'm going to go down here and I'm going to just do a little cleanup before we go. So this is, I'm going to take this and I'm going to get rid of this here. See, remember when that was kind of all goofy? And when we did this, I want to select that. So I'm just cleaning up here, okay? And really, Walter, you don't need to be barking. Okay. Again, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. Oops, I'm going to back that up. I need to invert it, right? Control Shift invert. And now I hit the copy and then I hit the paste. So I got a much better look here. So now I can go up here and do adjustments, channel mixer. And now I'm in a better position to do. And you can mess with this and you can get it however you want it. That's kind of intense, isn't it? Good enough. Okay. So now we have this. And once again, we can copy the entire layer. Remember the little checkerboard part at the top means transparent, so you're not going to see it. So Control C, and I'm going to go back here to our image, and I want to put it on top. So I hit Control V, and there it is. Now that looks really exaggerated and gross, right? So what we're going to do is the opacity. We're going to take the opacity down to make it look, and this is going to blend it with what's already there, and so it'll look better. And with that layer selected, I can make adjustments to brightness and contrast as well. Brighter, dimmer. So let's take the opacity back up a little bit. And then we'll just go up here to image adjustments, brighter, dimmer. Okay. All right. So there you go. Okay. Now you could spend some time trying to desaturate some of this and clean it up a little bit. There's lots of ways you can make this look more to your liking or more to your taste. But this is all just technique. But there's one thing that I do want to point out, and I see this all the time, is when people point their cameras up to watch a rocket launch, their camera's pointing up, sometimes at a 30 or 40 degree angle. And what that does is it induces a huge amount of distortion into your image. I'm going to, just for the sake of this lesson here, merge these layers. That distorts your image terribly. And what do I mean by that? You'll see people will post their streak shot of their rocket launch, and it looks like the rocket is leaving the pad at a 60 degree angle. It's not going straight up. Remember yesterday or this morning when we watched it, everybody said it's going up, it's going to go out the top, because the rocket was going straight up. But yet, all the time we see pictures posted of the rocket leaving the ground, going at an oblique angle to the ground. It's because their camera was pointed up, and it induces a huge distortion. And anybody who's been in real estate photography will know that, because if you have your camera pointed up or down when you're taking pictures in living rooms and dining rooms, your verticals are not vertical, okay? So let me show you what I do to correct that. I select the entire picture, okay? And then in the upper left here, I put the little handles on like I'm going to resize it, right? But what I'm going to do is put my cursor on one of these little handles here, and I'm going to drag the handle to try and take out that distortion, okay? But I can't do that by just clicking on it. I have to hit Control first. So I hit the Control key and hold it. Now when I do this, I can drag just that one handle. Now take a look at the phone poles, like this one right here, okay? That was not leaning at a 60-degree angle this morning. That was straight up and down. So look for clues like that. See, now that phone pole is getting closer to straight up and down, right? And that other one as well, but it's getting closer to straight up and down. Now you take this one and you bring it in about the same amount. Okay. And so now what you're getting is you're getting a much more accurate representation of what we actually saw. Okay. And when you're done, you just go up here and you hit this check mark. And you can, so now you have that. So what you've done is you've corrected for the distortion of your camera pointing up in the air. But this, nobody wants to look at this. So now you go in and you hit your crop tool and you crop it however you want to crop it. You can crop it horizontally, you can crop it vertically, however you want to crop it. And that is going to be dependent upon your content, how big you want it, all that kind of stuff. If you want it horizontally, you can do it like that. If you want to put it on Facebook, you may want to have it look like this. Okay, so something like that. Click. Now you have it's going straight up before it starts to pitch over, and then you see it heading downrange there. So you got a much better rendition. Now, obviously, I was just going real fast on this green business. You can do whatever you want to try and make those look better than the red glow they were. And you can try and clean up clouds. There's all kinds of ways you can do this, but I just wanted to give you the gist of using Sequitur, bringing your products into Photoshop, and then layering and adjusting to give you a picture. And then you can size this any way you want, bigger, smaller. You can image size. Typically, if you make your width 1080, 1080 with an 8:10 ratio, you're going to get 1080 by 1350, and that is about what you want for Instagram. And then you can layer other stuff in as well. For example, I would take this again, Control I to give me the white, Control C, hop over there, Control V, boom, there I am. And now I can make it whatever size I want, put it in there. And now I have it. When I put it on Instagram, it's got my signature. And I may not want it to be that dominant, so I will go over here and I'll click on opacity and I'll slide the opacity down. So my signature is still there, but it's not distracting from the picture as much. So again, another technique, another handy little way. Now you could take that and stick it in there. You could take your filter, camera raw filter, and there's a lot of orange in here. You may want to get rid of that. So now you can go down here and you can go to color mixer, saturation, take your oranges down. Okay. And you might want to have your whites be a little bit not quite as bright. This is where you're going to mess with your contrast. Actually, your yellows are a little strong as well. So you can take your yellows down. And you don't want to wipe it out completely, but you want it to be more realistic. So you want to check with your saturations. This is a good time. You can go up to luminance and you can move your oranges down and your luminance so they're not as bright. So if you do that, that's looking much better. But now what you may want to do is take the overall exposure up a little bit. You want to mess with your contrast a little bit or less, whatever you want to do. So again, at this point, it's just season to taste, whatever you like. And that might be more attractive on your Instagram or on your Facebook or whatever. So anyway, do I have any questions while I'm still in Photoshop? Anybody? Did they all fall asleep? Everybody fell asleep, or did I blow by everybody?
We're still here.
Okay.
Did a good job.
There's a lot more
Gotta
to
digest it.
it. Yeah, there's a lot to it. There really is. If we had a decent Milky Way exposure, everything after the sequitur would be more or less just little tweaks. This one was a lot more complicated because we put the streak shot into it. So I wanted to show people how to layer the streak shot in, and how to tinker with that. How you can take two different components of the streak shot, put them together into one. So there's a lot of ways that you can make your image what you want it to be. Questions? Anybody? I think everybody.
I think I need to go out and try it again before I can.
Yes. I think I put everybody to sleep. So, well, I'm going to stop recording because those out there in YouTube, they don't need to hear anymore. So that's it. See you later, YouTube.